begin to.
Hey guys.
Welcome to episode. This is episode 10 of season 1. Yes, that's episode 10 of season 1. Can you believe it? Since we started, we have interviewed. This is going to be our 10th couple that we have interviewed. And we have got some solid tips, solid information, solid experience. We have gotten a range of information. Persons have met through Facebook. Facebook is a leading social media. Sure. So if you're in here this evening and you have not yet created a social media account, well, it seems like the social media account of choice is Facebook. So you need to hurry up and create a Facebook account, because you never know. You might just get a message in your inbox telling you, hey, I'm checking you out. So as we get ready for doing that, we're saying good evening to everyone joining us from across the world. Good evening to you, Lady Teacher. Good evening to you, Lady Andrea. Good evening to you, Chosen.
Lady
Good
Yvonne.
evening to you, Lady Andrea. And Lady
Yvonne.
Big yourself up, Lady Yvonne. Go ahead and share the program. Let them know that we are live. We are live and we are live. We're getting ready to start, but you know, we can't start until we have at least 20 people online. So go ahead and just share them. Let them know the Macks are in the building. I can't tell you, and I'm not giving you any secret, but if you know what I know, you would have hurry up and share this program, invite and call people so we can get right into the discussion. In the meantime, it's coming to you from Usher. All right. Good evening to everyone. We promise you that we'd get started as soon as we have the numbers in the buildings. We're going to get started while you keep on sharing. Come on, share this link in your WhatsApp. Listen to me. I hear this story. I hear a part of this story and me get excited. So I can tell you that this that we are bringing this evening is no joke. This is no play story, a real story this, right? But in the meantime, before we have them coming in to share with us their lovely story, I found a video online and I want you to tell me what you think when you think about relationship. See if you agree with them.
Melanie, I'm single, you're single. What do you say we get married?
Well, I'm glad you finally decided on the direct approach.
Yeah, well, I'm a businessman at heart.
As am I. What's your offer?
Single rich male seeks matrimony.
Primary residence?
Westchester County.
Would you be open to considering a secondary residence in Manhattan?
Central Park West.
South.
Done. Time spent together.
8 hours, 5 days a week.
7 hours, 12 hours weekends.
55 hours aggregate, specifics to be determined later.
I'm amenable to that. Children.
1.
3.
2.
Done. But one of them has to be a male.
I'll see what I can do. Vacations.
December, Hawaii.
June, the vineyard.
June, fine, but Hawaii.
Nope, the vineyard.
Is that a deal breaker for you?
I'm afraid so.
Me too. Well, we gave it a shot.
I'm sure you'll find a better match.
Thanks for the time.
All right. Those of you who are inside the company, just tell us how you feel about that video. You think relationship is straight business, like to the point, you know, no time wasting. Is that a deal breaker? All right, awesome. All right, so let's get going. We're ready to invite our guests in. And so as they prepare to come and join us on screen, you know how we do it right here in the Couples Corner. The next voice, the next people you'll see on screen with us is
the Macks.
The Macks. The Macks.
Sure if you know this, but when we first met, I got so nervous I couldn't speak. In that very moment, I found the one that my life had found its bliss and peace. So as long as I live, I love you. We'll have it, hold you. You look so beautiful in white. And from now to my very
Right. All right. Excellent. Good evening to you, lady and Sir Macks. Welcome to Pillar Talk, Couples Corner. Welcome, welcome, and welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys for having us.
Awesome. So I know we're going to be alternating the mute because I seem to hear a little bit of echo. Feedback. Those of you who are listening, can just let us know if you're hearing a feedback. If you're doing so, just let us know and we'll make sure we try our best to make sure we bring you the best program this evening. All right. Let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. Loud and clear. If you can hear us, just go ahead and just type in the comment section that you can hear us. All right. All right, awesome. Can you hear us? Are you hearing us loud and clear?
Just let us know if there's a feedback.
Just let us know if there's any feedback or you're hearing us. Okay,
Oh, they're hearing
awesome,
clear.
excellent. You're hearing. So we're going to get right into it. This evening, we have a very special couple inside the building. Listen, my name is Slogan. I'm here about some computer fix up business. I know how to fix computer and end up start fixing up Lady Heart and all these kind of stuff. Until now,
I never thought about that. Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah. That's exactly what I did actually. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so this evening we're going to hear how that story went. I won't tell you because they're past 18 years old, and so they have the information. They also have the license. They are legal. They can share their own story. So we're going to sit down and listen. And so, who do you think should start?
Sir Mac.
Sir Mac. You think Sir Mac will tell us the truth?
What do you mean? I've been the one telling the truth all this time.
Right.
So, finally, we are going to allow the men to lead out. All right. I am very happy. Thank you very much, Dan.
As they should.
So we are going to allow the men to lead out this evening. Sarma, I want to tell you. I want you to start that story and just tell us how you meet this wonderful young lady who I am just learning today that her name is actually Renee.
Yeah. Well, so it started, 18 years ago was when we first met. So at the time, I was running a computer business. So a friend called me, said that there was a computer for me to look at. So I said, okay, cool. I met them and went over to the house, and I'm there just there to work, completely professional. So I sit down around the computer and I'm fixing it. And then I just feel like this beam of light burning through the back of my head. So I looked over to the right, and I see this young lady on the bed, because she was sitting on the bed and just staring at me. And then when I looked at her, she would look away as if she's not looking at me. And so fixed the computer, did my job, did exactly what I was asked to do, fixed it completely. When I left, it was working. It was tested, verified by the customer to be working. And a couple of days, maybe a week or so later, I'm hearing that something is wrong with the computer again. So I'm like, I didn't really take too much of it, but I went anyway. And so I'm there to do my job again. And then I just kind of realized I'm getting a similar vibe to what I was getting the first time, only to find out that, in my opinion, I think maybe the computer was, compromised externally, and it caused me to have to come back to fix it. And, the rest is kind of history from there, right?
Hold on.
I want to know.
Yeah. Pull up that song there, no.
Exactly, Keisha. That's what you did.
So, brethren, I saw you fix that the computer good. That the young lady mashed the computer up again. Just with you.
You have to allow her to defend this, you know.
Normally,
Thank you.
Normally, if the computer stop work, right, so quickly, you're going to get a new technician. You know what?
Exactly.
I'm going to say. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm going to side with you. I'm going to side with your sermon.
Listen, let us hear what the lady has to say. So Sophia done say I bet you she have a different version.
She have a different version.
Exactly so.
Turn it over then to the lady because there's always his side, her side, and we get to determine the truth.
Exactly. So the part about him coming to fix the computer, yes, that's true.
Mhm.
And yes, I thought he was attractive when I saw him at first. Yes,
Okay.
but I never mashed up the computer. He did. No, I did not, Sonia. I did not destroy the computer.
The truth shall set you free.
So he came back because he was the only technician I knew. And he came back, and when he came back, he said to me at that point, I thought we were friends. How come you haven't called me? So I said, oh, okay. So I started calling him. And that's how we started talking. That's when we became friends.
Hold on. So that means, Sir Mack, a long time you're hot bread. Because if you're the only technician round town.
Exactly.
She was aware of.
The only one I knew.
Sorry, you are the only man who could have fixed her computer.
Yeah,
You had some great skills, which we are going to be talking with her to find out later on. Definitely, sir. There are some great skills, some great qualities. I just find it hard to believe on. You know, if I ask you to come and fix my computer, you do a poor job. I don't want you, but I'm going to find somebody else. Even if you are the only one I know, I'm going to do some research.
Or at least ask for your money back, right? Or at least ask for you to fix it again and, make some complaint. But there was no complaint, It's just...
So she didn't even complain. She just asked you as if it's a gift to come and fix the computer.
But why would I mind? It's not that cute.
Oh. So
if you read between the lines of what she's saying is she tried her best to ensure that the cute guy came back again, no matter what it would cost.
But you didn't charge me a second time to repair it, did you? No, you did not.
So maybe some connection started. So I guess we need to ask Sir Mack now. So Sir Mack, you came back to fix a computer that you 100% sure know. You, based on your skills and of course the fact that you were recommended, you have had to have all that, you have that experience and that background. You have the right expertise. So now that you came back, you were not mad. You were not upset. You just got to work. What is it that inspired you just getting to work again?
Well, from my perspective, it was just good customer service, right? So, a customer files a complaint within 30 days, you try to at least honor that.
Oh, so it's a part of the business arrangement.
Yeah, man, that's all I was doing. As I said, I kept everything professional. So.
Okay, so take us back to when you saw the eyes looking, that bright light of that beam in the back of your head. I'm wondering if that was professional or personal.
Well, Well, I mean, I honestly didn't think too much of it. I mean, at the time, well, it's a little different now for her, but back then, her hair would cover a little bit more of her eyes. So I didn't really know what was happening. I just kind of glanced, saw it as like, okay, cool. You know, she's cute as well, but I didn't think much of it because I was otherwise, you know, I wasn't really on the market. I was kind of on the market, but I wasn't really on the market.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Is the audio okay? You want to
What
try and use
I think
the
I'm
microphone?
going to do, I'm going to alternate the mute. So I'll mute when I'm talking. So just to make sure.
Okay.
First.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. So when I'm speaking alone, can you hear me now? So let's just say.
Check,
All right.
check.
Check. Can you hear me now? Are you hearing better? That's better. All right, excellent. So if you're hearing me, that's awesome. All right, good. So Omar Chambers is saying, good technician need a second try.
I'm convinced.
I am convinced that she must. Something in my spirit just feel like I am going, you know, with Sir Mack today. I'm going with Sir Mack. I think she had something to do with that computer stopped working, especially how she knew how she had to find a way to get him to come back. All right, so take us from there now, Sir Mack. How did the relationship progress? So a second meeting came. Tell us what happened after that.
I mean, as she said, she mentioned that, you know, I said, you know, I thought we were friends. I said it jokingly, but we started to talk from there. The first part of our relationship was interesting because, you know, we were both, you know, kind of with someone else. So we spent the first few months just, you know, talking as friends. She would try to set me up. That didn't really work because I think all of her friends knew that she liked me. So none of her friends took her seriously. And, you know, for me, very, very shortly, you know, after we started talking, I couldn't think about anyone else but her. So any other relationship that I could have dreamt about being in kind of came to a halt because we were spending all of our time talking. Like we would fall asleep on the phone, wake up still on the phone, wait for the other to wake up, and then continue the conversation. And after so many phones got cut off because the bill wasn't paid, we moved from 2 landlines. So my landline got cut off first. Her landline got cut off.
My mother's landline got cut off.
Her mother's landline got cut off as well. And then, you know, I think we moved to, Gimme 5 from Digicel then.
And free nights and
weekends. And, you know, we just spent like every day and night talking.
I'll just say all of that talking and falling asleep business, all of that happened after we disengaged from the previous relationships that we were in. So, you know, we honored them while we were with them, but then we realized that
definitely
it just wasn't working, and what was happening, what was forming between us, we wanted to explore. So we said, all right, let us just continue talking as friends, and we were dancing around it, skirting around it for a long time.
Nobody wanted to make, well, so a part of me felt like, you know, after her relationship ended, I wanted to give her some space. I didn't want to rush her. And, you know, but in my mind, I was like, there's nobody else. So I was just hanging around waiting for her to give me a hint that, you know, I could make a move. But, you know, Renee is not so clear with the hints. So I didn't really know, but it took a friend who we were on a conference call. The friend was like, Jermaine, do you like Renee? I said, yeah. Renee, do you like Jermaine? Yeah. So are you two just gonna go out? The boyfriend and girlfriend are like, oh, okay. And so that's how our relationship started. And yeah, that was 18 years ago in August or July. I think it was July. Yeah.
July.
Wow, listen. So the light was so shine, so bright that it began to shine in the darkness.
I tell you.
And even though there was existing relationships, this light is too bright.
Boy.
It seemed to put out all of the
Overshadowed
light.
the other
The light. It seemed to have, put all the other lights out. Man, what a light. So although there was a relationship, you already would have established that there was some chemistry that was, forming between both of you, and you're ready to take the risk. I wonder if you guys like investment. It seems like you guys spend a lot of time in investment. You're a serious risk taker.
Well, I was a serious risk taker back then. Yes, serious risk taker.
Yeah, and the truth is, when we started, we weren't expecting much. We were expecting to have some fun and have a little relationship. But I mean, we were teenagers. We didn't expect lifelong coming out of this. He did in
Okay, because I was just gonna say. So we confirmed our relationship in July. What happened in September?
In September, for my birthday, he approached my mother with a ring, right? And he said to her, "Listen, I want to marry your daughter in the future, and I'd like your permission to give her this promise ring for her birthday this year." And Mom agreed. So he presented me for my 17th birthday with a promise ring that I wore until the day we got married. Yeah.
So, which one of us wasn't serious?
Me.
Okay. Because she was being told, Rennie, you're young, you should, focus on university. You're too young to settle down.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know this guy, him don't have any money. All of these things.
There's so many options. There's a wide, there's a bigger world out there. Don't limit yourself, kind of thing. I was getting all of that, and I was just like, all right, maybe I should wait. But very, very quickly, I realized that I wanted more with him than just fun, So
yeah.
Wow. Listen, there's a quote by an unknown person, which I don't know, but it's one I love. You meet thousands of people and none of them really touch you. And when you meet one person and your life is going to change forever. And this seems to be the beginning of a beautiful story. If you're just joining us inside of Pillow Talk, we're speaking with the Macks. And the Macks started out by sharing a story, how, from the recommendation of, as a technician to come and fix a computer. And today they are now happily married. It's been 18 years and they are still together. Okay. Listen, don't you dare despise the way things start. They may not always start like Hollywood, but definitely there can be something good coming out of that relationship. So I'm going to go a segue a little bit. So the relationship obviously was, one person was taking it more serious. Yeah.
Than the other. But then you can't blame her because she, being at her stage, young, considered, her age and everything, and what the advice. I was in a similar position too. So
what are you talking about?
What I mean, I heard a lot of things not to get married.
Ooh.
I needed to explore.
So you're just going to talk out your secret right now?
What a secret.
Oh. Maybe we should rename the program as Lover's Confession Program.
And the women need to confess some things.
I am agreeing with you though. Yes, what else you have to confess?
Not a thing.
I had a father-in-law who would rim it in her head, rim it every day. Even at the lip, the cup can slip. And so no matter how we're trying to build this relationship, he had a way to just pour cold water on the hopes.
But not only that, I had a lecturer who he said, I will never come to your wedding because he was like, Daniel, you're too young. It is not possible. You can't get married now, because I was engaged at 18. So most persons then just getting to know themselves, just getting to go out and explore and all that. So somebody come in and put a ring on your finger, the first thing you're going to say is that, no man, it's a tie down, it's a prison business. So I would understand what she's saying as it relates to, being in a situation where she's like, should I consider, should I hold off, and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, she knew what she wanted. I knew what I wanted. And so we are here.
Yeah. Well, I am allowing her to talk up the things in a lady teacher, because some of this, I remember that lecturer, and that lecturer better know. I remember that lecturer, that one lecturer would do everything to make sure that this young lady not commit to a relationship. But look at us now, years after, we are wonderfully together. Let's get back to talking to the Macks. So now that the relationship began to get serious, what were the next steps? When did you actually start dating? And you know what, me like to know, what was the first date? Because the first date is always the one off the hook. Sometimes it's the one with the less resource, but yeah, it's always off the hook. So let's hear about that first date.
All right,
you want to go?
You can go, because we were talking about it the other day.
Yeah, actually, it's so funny. Our first date was at Carib 5, and we went to see Matrix Revolutions. Right, that's the one, right? Reloaded. Sorry, Matrix Reloaded. It was our first movie together. It was good. At the time, I was living in Vineyard Town. He was living in Dehaney Park, and he took a taxi from Dehaney Park to pick me up in Vineyard Town to carry us to Carib 5. And then the reverse, dropped me home, and then took a taxi back to his house in Dehaney Park. So I spent a whole heap of money on taxi.
A lot of money.
But yeah, it was our first official date, and we enjoyed the time together. We spent time talking afterwards, and it was just simple and good. And up to this day, we continue to do that. Like COVID kind of put a little snag in that, but now the theaters are open again. So
yeah, going to the movies is one of our favorite things to do. It's our way to build intimacy. We spend time talking. We share, a love for similar types of movies. Sometimes the movies that my wife would want to watch are a little bit strange, but for the most part, we like the same type of movies, and it just keeps us close, so yeah. It's something that we enjoy doing.
Sharing it together.
Yeah, so we try to do that as much as we can now, but in terms of dating in general, Renee likes to do outdoor stuff. And so we would do things when we were younger, like, hiking Blue Mountain, or, would spend a lot of time at Devon House back when you were allowed on the grass. Like, that's how long ago it was. And, we would find every excuse to spend time with each other. And that would be pretty much, I'd be over to see her almost daily, as much as I could afford. Like, all of my money went to seeing her, because as she said, it was very expensive, right? So to go to her, to come back every day, the phone calls, every as often as I could. So actually that ring that I got for her, I couldn't afford to pay for it up front. So I had payments that I had to make for that. And, we just did as much as we could together. I think at the time I was finishing up upper six. She was about to start sixth form.
No, I was finishing as well.
She was finishing sixth form, about to start university. So she was in school for the first few years of our relationship. That presented some interesting scenarios. That same thing that she mentioned about, persons telling her to explore and things like that was at the back of my mind, because she mentioned those things to me. And so, the early part of our relationship, we were trying to navigate, I think, what others were telling us to do versus what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because we've always wanted to just focus on each other, spend time with each other. But it's almost like the rest of the world thought we were too young, thought love was not real or love wasn't something to think about at that age. And so at many points during the early years of our relationships, persons would try to discourage us from being together for some reason or another.
Yeah.
Whether even when we got married, we were still told we were too young, right? And I mean, so it was just kind of navigating those things in the early years. We broke up for 12 hours once. So we broke up and I was like, I'm gonna tell everybody me and Renee we're done. And I even told her that I made plans, I've moved on. And then by the end of that night, I think we're just like back to normal. So, but it still matters. Those 12 hours I was single, on the market. But, unfortunately, I guess my stock price went down because, the market wasn't was no longer bullish based on,
Are you done?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, Sir Mack, you're definitely making me laugh because I am now trying to calculate how many 12 hours we broke up. Oh Lord. Yeah. I'm really trying to calculate the amount of 12 hours we broke up for in those early days. But wow, awesome. Well, they started their date at, big movie theater, the light movie, and they went to apparently a chicken wheel. our first date was at KFC, Kentucky.
But as it relates to that though, it's
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because we could get free juice. It could drink as long as you want. And it was so bad that I've shared it so many times, but I'm very proud of it now. Because a popular media personality would say, don't find man like we. And by her standard, people like me would have still get boyfriend treatment. But, it was what we could afford. And what was even worse, Sir Mack, was that when we got to KFC, after we ordered the meal, when the cashier, talk about the price, because I had measured the price a long time, and I know how much 2 big deals supposed to cost. In that particular moment, I don't know why KFC decided to raise the price. When life was tough already. And so I was now not able to cover. I was now not able to cover the bill. And of course, that was the embarrassment. That was I'm sure that would have been a red flag for a lot of young ladies. But thanks be to God, He always answers prayer. Some person just walk up and say, let me cover it for you. I was about to allow her. We were contemplating to buy one big deal and she alone eat. And she said, no, not doing that. So the matter was resolved when this random person just walk up and, hey, let me get your I'll pay for you. Y'all look so sweet together. Let me go ahead. And of course, they invested into that. All right, so that's how we actually started out. So Renee, I know that I know that Sir Mack already mentioned that he knew he was getting serious, and of course, he went ahead and got a ring. I want to ask you, when did it actually get serious for you?
I'll say around the same time, in that when I said yes to the ring, I was like, okay, so I really do want to be serious with this guy. Because I was in a relationship before, and in between the July and the September when Jermaine came with the ring, I was in this place where I was really examining my previous relationship and what went wrong in that, and how much of that baggage I was carrying over and dumping on Jermaine, because I could see it. I was extremely jealous because after after that previous relationship
Hold on, Renee. Can you say it again, but slowly? Because I don't think they understand. So you see, because she's smiling, you think it's this light jealousy. She was ridiculously jealous. Like, I remember a friend invited me to the movies, and along with the friend, I think her daughter was coming out as well. And I remember Rennie was so upset. I believe you cried.
I don't know. I cried a lot back then. I don't know.
Like, she was so, like, she was like, oh my gosh. I wish you remembered.
I do remember being absolutely insecure and very jealous. And a lot of it was coming from the previous relationship and a lot of things that I found out about that relationship and that person after the relationship ended. And it really eroded a lot of the innocence and the trust that I had for people. And I was carrying that over into this relationship. And that's kind of where me not wanting to be in something serious came from. But then when I really thought about it and I said, you know, it's not fair to not give this relationship a chance because of what the other person did. And we spoke about it, you know, where they feel like we're big and grown and can do, you know, have big people conversation them time there. And saying, we felt that way. So we did talk about it and we said, all right, you know, we're going to give it a try. Just understand that I'm going to need some time to work through the things that are causing the insecurities and the jealousy and all of that. And it took years, but we decided that we would have worked through it or tried. And so, that's kind of how it went from being just us having fun in my mind anyway to us having a serious relationship.
I want to ask a question and then I'm going to throw it out to the audience after. I want to find out. Jermaine, I hear you say a friend. Usually when we hear a friend in quotation, you know, we already know it seems already like it's a female version of a friend. So I want to ask you, sir, was that a female friend?
Yes, it was. But in this case, it was literally actually just a friend.
I wouldn't know that.
Right? It was serious. So it was the friend. It was like one of those. It was a friend. Like it was almost like somebody I'd consider like an aunt. You know, it wasn't anything intimate, but at the time, I believe maybe her daughter might have liked me. So I think that was maybe what Renee might have, you know, heard about. And so she was very uncomfortable about that. And maybe I took the opportunity because I know she was struggling with jealousy to make her jealous. So, I mean...
Yeah, he used to do that. Confessions of the husbands now?
Maybe. Maybe.
Well, not confessing that thing. I go and ask, but let me ask my wife. Can I date another like a female?
That's not a question.
Like a friend? Can I go out
dear.
to the can I just go to the movie without
Let us not even go into that question.
Really? I didn't know you're jealous.
You alone going to the movies with the young lady?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's me.
When be there?
You're supposed to trust me.
Oh my God. But Lady Macks said something that I want. We're not going to go into that at all.
No, but I want to know. All right. You know, do you think, those of you in the audience, is it okay for your quote unquote significant other, the male, the man, is it okay for him to go to the movie with another woman alone who is his friend? Yeah, I'm friend. Them, you know, like auntie kind of friend.
See it there?
Is it okay?
Sophia
I want to hear your. Let's hear the response. Sophia didn't even think about it. Like this, there could be benefits in this, you know.
What kind of benefits?
Like advice.
Sit there.
Like
Lady Jason, no times 100.
No, this is not.
No to the no.
Sonia, oh no.
Why would you want to go to the movies with a woman by yourself?
But there could be benefits to be.
What kind of benefits?
Like
benefits
advice,
that will lead to
like support, like encouragement, like prayer.
Oh really? Me and you used to pray together, and where it lead to?
What? This is not the program to confess.
Well, you stay there. Probably public confession will help somebody else out there.
So nobody on here. Come on, look at all these Christian ladies.
Paula said no.
Look at all these godly ladies.
Thank you very much.
Oh
Encryption said nope.
All these godly ladies. Where?
Oh my God.
Where's all your minds at?
You start praying and then you start pray.
You godly ladies, none of you, not one person.
Thank you so much. Sister Stephanie said I'm always available, so the answer is no. And the counselor is there, you know. Probably we need to have him in a little counseling session after this in the lady parlor.
Guys, y'all know me. You guys have no faith in me. Like
me know, say me know yeah man. I'm on a feeling, so you stay there.
but I got the God on the inside.
Hey, how will you say?
All right, guys, there you go. Listen, so it seems to me. Oh, teacher, you missed the question. Oh, I want to find out if it's okay. I was trying to get my wife to agree with me to go on a date with another young lady all alone, just at the movie. We just
because it may have benefits.
It has benefits.
Tell me, let me fix my glasses.
Not rubbing. Not rubbing butter on pussy.
Tell us about it, dear Lady Jason. No, but
hold on. I'm getting help here. Fine for me, but
oh
God. Shun the very appearance of evil. No. And everybody's here like trouble. Ain't nobody got confidence in me anymore.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I cannot. No, my God. No, you know what? Let me move on. Because, really?
Yeah, let's move on to the next
question. Just don't ask me. Because you don't know my answer. You know I know my answer.
We need to have a meeting after Pillow Talk.
Yeah, I think so too. Because you dare not go with which man?
All right. Lady Macks said something. She said that she had some insecurities. Now, a lot of persons when they would have gone through, previous relationships and that kind of thing, they really tend to have, the after effects of the hurt or whatever they would have gone through. How was it for you to get through? What measures would you have taken to really, not carry those baggages to, affect this relationship with the one?
So, as I said, it took years, right? Years of arguments and breakdowns and bawling, and it would have taken that time because we didn't have counsel. We didn't have persons who we could have gone to, couples who we looked up to say, hey, this is what we're going through. Can you help us? We didn't have that, nor did someone want that.
Yeah, I wasn't for counseling back in the day. When she came and talked to me about even premarital counseling, I was like, I don't need somebody to tell me about my relationship. That there's nothing new that a counselor can say to me that I don't already know. And plus, it's not gonna have context. Like that is not gonna give me any help at all.
Right. So it ended up being us kind of just drudging through it and determining that we're going to keep pushing and going to keep working at our relationship. So it took a lot of honesty and openness and vulnerability from me to be able to say to him, this is what is causing me to feel insecure at this point. And at the time, he wasn't the most mature either. So he would have at some times taken advantage of what I would have shared with him, and it would have made it harder and kind of caused some regression.
Yeah.
So I didn't always handle that very well. It caused issues between me and his co-workers, situations where I would call his cell phone at work and a female co-worker answers the phone and I'm like, why is she on your phone? Honestly. And the response is, I was in the bathroom. I said, so what? Then why not a woman answering your phone though? You know, so things like that we went through as a couple. And then we eventually grew together and matured to the point where we say, you know, this doesn't make sense for us to continue fighting about the same things, to continue arguing. So it took both of us. It wasn't a one-way street. I couldn't fix it on my own. He had to also come to the decision that he would be supporting me in getting over these insecurities. And so there came a point when, instead of kind of rubbing salt in the wound kind of approach, instead of doing that, he started to support my healing and support my growth.
Well, for context, right? So a lot of the things that we're talking about here was before our marriage was committed to God.
Yeah.
So there was like a tale of two halves for our marriage, where the first half, Renee was not saved. I wasn't walking with the Lord. And so all the things she was just saying, you know, that you know, abuse of trust, that, you know, taking advantage of maybe her vulnerability, you know, certain situations that just are improper when there's mutual respect and honor. Those things, we never even really understood what that was until we were both, you know, committed to walking with the Lord and working on our marriage to make it a godly marriage, right? So we just wanted to understand that context, because a lot of persons who know us now think that the way we are now is how we've always been. That's not true, right? We've had a lot of, you know, explosive arguments, you know, arguments where, you know, I got so angry, right? I was driving, I got so angry and I smashed both hands on the steering wheel, lost control of the car, and, you know, we probably never would have made it home that night. I was just, there was a lot of anger and pain and hurt, you know, miscommunication for years, and it took us years to heal from a lot of those things, even after we started working on our marriage together.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the fact is, we didn't know what we didn't know. So when we came into marriage thinking that, you know, we love each other and that's all that we would need to get through the challenges, we didn't realize that there was so much more to it. And we did not realize that when you're doing marriage and you're not doing it God's way, you're going to have so much more trouble, and you will not have the foundation and the root and the anchor to stay firm in it, because you don't have Christ. So when we went through those first 5 years, the first 6 years of our relationship, and then the first 5 years of our marriage, so that was 11 years of us being together and being without Christ. When we went through those first 11 years, it was a lot of turmoil, in a lot of ups and downs all throughout. And as much as we thought we knew, we had to unlearn when we came to Christ. We had to unlearn what we thought we knew and relearn what God's way is, and really start reading his manual and saying, oh, this is how marriage is supposed to be. Oh, I'm supposed to respect my husband. Oh, I'm supposed to submit to his authority. Oh, he's the one leading, not me. And so I had to step back, and he had to step up for us to get into alignment with God's way. And it is after we came into Christendom, after we started walking with the Lord and seeking him fervently, that he corrected all of this wrong thinking. We gained mentors. We gained persons who we can go to with our issues and say, boy, that one area rough, we don't know what to do. How can we start correcting this issue? What do you recommend? We have godly counsel in our lives now, and we know that we can trust and rely on them to help us through the difficulties. And so it was after all of that, after coming to Christ, that those wounds started to heal, that we started to come together and really operate in marriage like we're supposed to, husband and wife, Christ and the church kind of relationship, and not just you over there, me over here.
So we were, for a long time, we were two independent persons trying to make it together. Right? So it's like, I did my thing, you did your thing, and we just came together when it was convenient, but there was no unity, there was no agreement,
right?
There was no harmony. And it was evident when things got really bad, because it got really bad when it was bad. So, I mean, we were pretty much at the point where we got to the brink of divorce. And, we say this all the time, that if it is that one person mentioned the word divorce, it would have happened. But none of us were, we were both thinking about it, but we never said it.
And I think neither of us said it, because before we got married, we said, we're doing this once. It's one and done. We don't want to do the divorce thing.
Yeah.
And that's just making that commitment to each other is kind of what gave us a thread.
Yeah. So the person who said the word divorce would have been
their
the one.
fault.
Yeah. It would have been their fault. Right. So we never wanted that.
Yeah.
I continue to say that marriage is not competition, it is completion. And you know what? The reality is, friends, if you're doing marriage without God, it's not as it's impossible. It's going to be really hard. Because we know people who have gotten married and, they're not Christians. They have somehow overcome and somehow made it. But I want to just say here, without God, it becomes really difficult. God is the creator of marriage. And if God is the creator of marriage, he knows best how the marriage is supposed to work. He knows that the love and the respect is important. I've said it time and time again, that, in my marriage, I had a turnaround point, Sir Mack, when I read Colossians 3:19. And, for all the time I have gone to theological school, I've heard about the 4 types of love, and I somehow thought that marriage should be built on eros, which is the erotic, romantic love. But then I went into further study and started to examine the root word from which love comes from, which is agape. And one of the meaning that got a hold of me is not just the fact that it is unconditional. It's the fact that it says, I am giving to someone something in excess, something good in excess that don't deserve it. And I start to pull back and say, wait, you know what? There is really no room for us to venture towards divorce or separation, because this is how God said it is supposed to work. I must come in agreement. I must believe that I am supposed to give to my wife the best kind of treatment. I must give this love whether or not I think that she deserves it. And some too many times relationships are falling apart because people are saying, I have forgiven him 10 times, I've forgiven 20 times, I've forgiven 30 times. You don't know, Pastor, how much time I've done this and I'm not doing it again. But I always come back to that point where it is giving her, although she don't deserve it. May I just take this time as the the Macks share such a candid, honest testimony here. May I just use this time to say to someone on this platform who is married, if you're married, listen listen, let's go back to what the manual says. Many of us have been taking on practices in our marriages because I know I'm sounding like I'm preaching now. I soon stop. Listen, I know that we have been adopting because we are very good at adopting. You see, we are so easy to be recultured by our society, and many of us are going to all these so-called experts, and we're taking on principles that God rule on already. Can I just use this time to say God rule how the man's supposed to love the wife already? Don't try to move the stone. The Bible said, then the Bible said, do not deal with her harshly. That very scripture. Love her. Give her what you don't deserve. Then don't deal with her harshly. Every now and then, you know, when the Robdons spirit come alive, every now and then I have to simmer him back down with the Holy Spirit. That's a whole lot. This is how God says that the relationship is supposed to work. So let us use this here. I'm just using the time to say, let's get back to the manual. And those of you who are not yet married, I pledge to God already that before I engage in another wedding ceremony, the person is going to sit down and do a course in agape. You're going to understand that word before you move forward into marriage. So what a profound statement right there. You know what? I'm just going to continue along the line right there because I want you to tell us, if you could give us a 101 secret for making marriage work. I just want you to come up with a Macks summary now. What would you say that makes a marriage work? Somebody might be listening on this platform and they're thinking that simply because they're struggling at marriage, you know what? The devil is such a liar. I don't want to turn the program into a religious program in a man. I want to reach everybody from the context of God. But I must say it because this is first ordered by God. I got to center it on that. So if this week you come and I sound like I'm preaching, forgive me. But just because the marriage start out poorly doesn't mean that it cannot come good again. Doesn't mean it cannot be helped. Lord have mercy. Just because I hear they said they have gone 11 years. Man, we went about 2 years. 2 years of struggling. Man of God, if you know the amount of time I park the car on the side, I know, but I go to church.
You know, much time you stop going to church, but I must say, I fix my face to go. I'm not listen to you preach. Oh.
I'm going to get real on this platform. Hold on there. And then we have to come back and say, hold on, we can't, but listen, this can't be a game. It can't be no. It is causing too much high blood pressure. I am becoming too stressed. Listen, I don't just want to fake it. I want to make it. I want to have an authentic experience in marriage. I want you to talk to the couple that is listening who might be going through their challenging time, difficult time, and think that I must call it quit. It is wrong to call it divorce simply because we are struggling. I hear you talk about getting help. I hear you talk about getting a counselor and all of that. I just want to hear your 101 so we can help somebody on here to rekindle the flame and perhaps start the fire over again using it or, the principles from God. Ooh.
All right. So, 101, what I'd say is that, and, we're actually premarital counselors now. So we talk about couples about this topic all the time. Marriage is about committing your life in service of someone else. That's the first thing that you want to know, right? So when you say I'm ready for marriage, what you're saying, you're ready to spend the rest of your life in service to another person. Mm-hmm. Now what that means is that, and the barometer that we use is that if there is a season where we start to think about ourselves, like, I'm not getting this, I feel this, I don't have that, I just want this. That's how you know that it's no longer about the marriage, it's about you. Mm-hmm. So if you're thinking more about you than about the other person, then there's a very good chance that will show, right? Because you'll start to hold back. You'll start to say, well, I did this for you, it's your turn. I waited 2 hours for you, it's your turn. I did the dishes yesterday, it's your turn today. And those start to make for a very tense. It's like you're keeping score in a marriage. You have to move from that mindset, and it has to be about the purpose that God would have joined the two together for, because every marriage was formed with a purpose. And so, that's the 101 for us, right? Every marriage fulfilling their God-given purpose.
And I'll just add to that the purpose that you've been joined for is not just for your pleasure. It's for what God has called you to do together. He has called you individually, and he's called you together to accomplish something. What is that something? Have you accomplished that something? And it is so important for us as married couples to seek the Lord together, to identify what is it that you want us to do? Why have you put us together? Because sometimes you're so focused on your differences that you don't realize.
You miss the purpose.
Exactly.
That joined you for.
You miss the purpose. You don't realize how your differences actually complement each other to make you into a whole package that the Lord uses for a specific purpose. So yes, you may be different. Yes, you may be struggling, or you don't understand why he does something that way or she does something the other way. But the point of it is that the Lord has made each of you how he made you, so that when you connect, when you come together like those two pieces of the puzzle, you interlock perfectly to accomplish his will and his vision for you, and for his wider kingdom. So it's bigger than just what you are feeling in the moment. And never forget that your emotions lie. I tell people this story all the time, that I will be having a challenge with Jermaine, and I go to the Lord and say, Lord, why him? And before I can even say another word, the Lord is like, come here, let's talk about you. We're talking about your patience today. Let's deal with that. I'm gonna have to draw brakes and reverse and say, oh, sorry. Let's deal with the patience, Lord. What are you saying to me?
Lord, talk to her.
What are you saying to me? And when I process, I allow the Lord to process through me what he's saying to me about my patience. By the time I come around, the Lord sort him out already too, because guess what? He is God's son too. He's God's child too. And so better believe that he's going to get the correction too. You as the individual, as the husband or as the wife, you don't have to get yourself all worked up. When you are both in Christ, you don't have to get yourself worked up about the other person being corrected, because better believe that if you are connected to the source, if you are connected to God, Holy Spirit, going wholly accountable.
So I like that. Can you just pull back up what Crystal is saying? So you see that thought, only if the other party is willing to change. If you're both rooted in Christ, change is automatic. But if you're not in Christ, it's gonna be hard to accomplish that change. And that's the key that we realized, because there's an image that I saw once of a triangle where the husband and wife is at the base and God is at the top. So the closer you go to God, the closer you go to each other.
Right.
And so that's how you have to think about it. Mm-hmm. Because if it is that you're waiting for the other person to change, God can't work on you because you're there waiting for them to change. You're waiting to see change in the physical when God might be working on the heart first. So you may not see it, but you have to trust and believe, right? Because love hopes all things, believes all things, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to trust that when you're working on your patience, that God is working on the other person in the same way. You just might not see it in the physical yet.
And so it all boils down to God being the first priority for each of you, for both of you. God being that first priority. And we sometimes idolize marriage and we idolize our spouse, and that takes God off the throne of our hearts, right? So you take off God and you put on your husband or you put on your wife, and then when that person is not fulfilling your needs, you're distraught. And then you try and rush and put God back on the throne, but that's not how it works. God must remain front and center. He must remain number one in your life. When the marriage, if you're single and you're praying for marriage, that's okay though. It's okay to pray for the marriage, but understand that while you are waiting, God is doing something in you. He is preparing you for that married life. And it doesn't mean that when you get what you think is the blessing of marriage, that's where it ends with God. You have to continue keeping him as number one. You have to continue keeping him as front and center, because he's the one who is going to, he is the one who is that third strand who is going to keep you together. And the moment you take your eyes off him, you're going to start drawing like Peter.
No, this is quite interesting, and an interesting disclaimer. Some time ago, I was in a behavior training, and the presenter said that the only person's behavior you can control is yours. And you know what? I want to bring that right into the context of marriage. No, the only person you can change is you. Too many times I think marriages struggle because one person is busily trying to change the other person. And you remember that story Jesus talked about with the moth in the eye? So it's as if you have a big moth cover your own eye, but you're looking at the other person one. And you know what? Our perspective of a way to magnify the other issue in the person. But something that I'm hearing here, as you reflect, you're going to find out that there's something in you that needs to be worked on. And you know what? We shared an example of this some time ago about going to the refrigerator. You know, sometimes your marriage is going to show you how unsanctified you are. It's true. You can skip around in church. You can jump, skip around, and run from top to bottom in church. But your marriage is going to help you to see how unsanctified you are. And guess what? You can use it to your advantage to be heaven ready too. because what you can hide from the crowd, you're not going to be able to hide from that person who have a zoom up picture of who you are. So whatever they tell you, best believe it. You better believe it. And so I share this example about going to the refrigerator. I have a style. I'm one who likes to put water in the refrigerator or juice in the refrigerator. My wife has a style to just use juice and water in the refrigerator without putting back any in there. And then she just suddenly have amnesia and remember saying, but it thirsty why I put it in there, and I was preparing to drink it later. And the temptation is always to come and say, look, you don't say you couldn't put back the juice in the fridge. But you know what? The same 7 seconds or 2 seconds it was going to take to refill that container that she was going to use to refill that container is the same time it would have taken me. And you know what? It would have caused me some peace.
But not only that, but it goes to say that when I go in there and see you put the juice, rather than put it in the fridge, you put it in the cupboard and me take it out.
Oh, that's
it's the same difference.
I'm moving fast. People,
which
you know,
mistake?
I'm always
like a really confessional going over here today.
Yeah, but I'm always engaged in a lot of activities. And so I am putting the juice in the cupboard because I think that's the fridge.
Oh.
But it's showing you see, look at that. So I'm ready to point out what she's struggling at. But at the same time, I am also struggling. I can't even decipher where the fridge is from where the cupboard is. Mm-hmm. And we can spend hours arguing about that. You know what I've said to my wife in the end? I said, what do you want? Do you want to be right or do you want to have peace? Because I think some of the time we're going to have to answer that question. Do you want to be right or do you want to have peace? You can be right and lose your marriage. Yeah. You can be right and go to your bed unhappy for the next 3-4 years. But you can make a peaceful move that will transform not just your life, but the life of your partner. Because everything you do in that marriage should be done unto God. It is an opportunity for you to minister unto the other. Listen, it's not just doing something for. We have got to see it now as service in the kingdom of God. Because when you deal with me kindly, then I start to understand, lady, the grace that is inside of you. I recognize that you are fully saved for true. Oh, praise the name of the Lord. I can then understand why you're speaking in tongues, because you're really saved.
Shama.
Let me get back to my guest. Listen, I'm feeling good. So there you go. There are some solid points that came out, and I don't want persons to run over them. We got to keep God in the center. And sometimes it's like cliche in saying that, you know, and I say keep God all around. Keep him all around the building, the perimeter, the circumference, everywhere. Anywhere there's a space, put God there. You will not lose by making such an investment. Base your marriage on the word. We saw that. We hear about the barometer idea. These are some things that we need to take away. But something they said that touched my spirit. Marriage is committing your life in service of the other. Oh, Lord Almighty. You ain't ready for marriage if you ain't ready to commit to serve. Serve is work. Oh, sorry. Marriage is work. Or somebody need to type in the comment section, marriage is work. Oh, yeah, qualified. You better be ready to do the work. You ready to do the work? You're not complete. All right. But a solid point there coming. Thank you so much for sharing on that. You know, I want to come back to the I want to come back about finance in my latter part, but let me go on a little bit and just ask a little bit. Based on what you're saying, I want you to tell us, do you think it is absolutely normal? And is it also healthy? Can there anything good come out of argument? I'm going to leave that.
So I actually think yes. And so the reason why I think that, so arguments are opportunities to learn more about each other, especially earlier in your marriage, right? So I think changed for us later on in our marriage, where we could have an argument that wasn't tense, that wasn't based on, you know, explosive anger. It was just us sharing a difference of opinion and working through something. And then, you know, sometimes it's that we agree, okay, all right, you think this, I think this, that's okay. There are some things that don't need a compromise or a conclusion. It's just an understanding of where we both stand. Mm-hmm. There are some things now that there has to be a consensus as to the way forward. You know, like if we're trying to decide where to go, then, you know, if one person wants to do X and the other wants to do Y, then we need to come together and agree on the pros of X, the pros of Y, and make a decision. But for the most part, you're always learning something, mm-hmm. right? The thing is, usually when it's an argument, somebody's not listening. Exactly. Somebody's not listening. Somebody's maybe speaking mixed up with all the emotions and stuff that is there. So it tends not to translate in the right way. So it becomes an argument. But I think it's important to understand that arguments, they don't need to be bad things, right? They allow you to learn about each other.
And I think what we've learned over the years as well is just understand when it is that you're feeling so passionate and that passion may be anger, or it may be so expressed in some other way, but when you're highly emotive about something, persons have a tendency of saying things that they say, oh, I didn't mean that. When we're talking about communication in marriage, your partner is the person who you're going to spend a lot of time with, right? And things that they say, things that they do, the little things can become very irritating. Or pastor says it this way, that marriage is sandpaper, right? You're just always being refined, you're always being rubbed on, smoothed out, and it's harsh. It feels harsh. But when you have those disagreements, when you when those things come around, you have a choice to make in that communication, right? Are you going to respond in an explosive way? Are you going to respond in a frustrated way? Or are you going to take the time to hear what the person is truly saying? Are you listening to respond, or are you listening to understand?
A lot of times we used to argue about, like, the two of us are arguing about two different things.
Yeah.
So we weren't even having the same argument. And that's because we never took the chance to really listen to each other. So, I mean, a lot of times it just really comes down to the communication, where the part about, not saying things you don't mean to say. I think it's important to be honest. And sometimes when we say, I don't want to say something that I regret, is that I don't want to say something hurtful.
Right.
But you don't need to say something hurtful. Say what is true. Be honest.
Right.
So I am hurt because of X, not you can't do this or you can't do it. Because sometimes we try to attack a person's character when really we're upset about something that they did and not who they are.
And then I think lastly, in terms of the arguments, it helps you to draw closer together as well. Because when you take it from the perspective that, okay, we are on the same team, regardless of our difference of opinions, we may see something differently, we may feel differently about something, but we're on the same team. When you keep that focus, you'll remember at the end of the day, okay, we need to come together and find out what this divisiveness is about. Is it that the enemy is trying to attack our marriage in this way? And then the two of you now need to band together and tell the enemy, you got to go. There's no room for you here, because the division, that division between husband and wife is what the enemy wants. It's what he wants, because it's easier to conquer when we're separated. When I am thinking about me and how I feel, and he's thinking about him and how he feels, then we're not coming together to attack the issue. We're attacking each other instead. So always take the time to make that assessment of what is really at the root of this argument. And when you do that, for us anyway, it usually results in us coming together and saying, okay, this may be a spiritual thing. Let's sort that out. Let's attack it from that angle, because we are not willing in any way. We're just not willing to have the enemy have any foothold in our marriage.
So I'll just say, in the past, so Renee is the first one to do this. We used to argue, and she's like, I want to pray. I'm like, leave God out of this.
Can't leave him. I'm
like, leave God, because God is going to take your side. So don't pray, right? Let's talk about it. And I realized that she was right, because when we invite the Lord first, it softens both our hearts, and we can deal with the issue, right? But sometimes I just want to be upset, because sometimes the longer you're upset, it should fit the crime. So if she did something wrong, you need to be upset for 4 days, because it's worth 4 days of anger, instead of just squashing it right there, right? So, sometimes, I know I used to be good at doing that, at least, depending on what you did, especially if I said it multiple times, like, Renee, we've been through this before. All right, you're not learning. All right, 3 days of silent treatment. Like, those things you stop doing if it is that you're praying first.
Yeah.
Right. So if you say, Lord, please, give us the words, help us to understand what's happening, bind us together, Lord.
Remove the blockages. Then
it's not going to take 3 days. It probably takes 3 minutes. But sometimes I think you may enjoy being angry more than actually working through the issue.
Yeah.
Because one of the things we used to be very good at doing is using that anger to fuel our passion. So the anger used to make the intimacy even better, because you have that sort of vigor now. Exactly. Right. So when we realize that you can't mix the two, intimacy is meant to be passionate but also pure.
Yes.
You can't taint the intimacy because you want to feel a certain what's the word I'm looking for? Because you want to enjoy it a certain way. So a lot of persons use their arguments to fuel their intimacy. We would not encourage you to do that because it's going to be built on the wrong foundation.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. Listen, we are up in here, and just in case, because you know what, it suffices to say, you know, I thought I was only the odd person on this platform. I tell my wife back in the days, left God out of this. God want if it deal with that one out by ours.
Well, not even that. But sometimes when you might be in the heat of something and you're like, let us pray. He's like, me can't pray. You pray. It was kind of a turn off sometimes.
Yeah, because you cut man vibes. Me I try express myself. Me want you know so the thing hurt. Me want you feel my pain and feel it 4 times. And you come talk about pray like you want to water this thing down. Now, water down business not going here. You need to get the full blunt of your punishment. Isn't this the way we treat our spouse at times? But you know what? We are so good at offering advice to deal with conflicts in our religious setting, in our church community, how we deal with others. But unfortunately, we do not take these things into our marriages. Look at what James 4 verse 6 says. But he giveth more grace. Wherefore, he said, God resisted the proud, but giveth grace to the humble. Submit yourself, therefore, to God. Listen, this that I'm doing is not just for me. Doing the right thing is not just for me. It is what I'm expected to do. Hear me. You cannot be a man of God, and not submit to this order. You cannot claim to be Christian, authentic Christian. I'm going to help the church tonight in Jesus' name. Not one more speaking in tongues until you have learned to submit yourself according to the order of God. And that includes submitting yourselves to each other. Stop speaking in tongues but won't submit to wife, and wife equally will not submit to husband. That's not how it goes. Listen what the Lord said. Look at it. Draw nigh to God and he will draw nigh to you. That's a triangle right there. The closer we draw to God, is the closer we are getting to each other, and it's closer God is also coming to us. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners. Oh, sorry, husbands and wives. Purify your heart. He double-minded. The truth is we know, so we're double-minded, you know? We're double-minded bad. Because sometimes we give this grace somewhere else, but we don't bring it at home. You know, the truth is sometimes we're more, what you call it
accommodating
to others than we are to our spouse. You know, sometimes we deal more respectfully with those at work, our boss, the church member, the members of the board, the pastress, than we treat our spouse. We have got to check that again. Here's what it says. Be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned into mourning and your joy into heaviness. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord. And who shall lift you up? Glory. Somebody better don't let me say shama shama tonight. He shall lift you up. It is God that helps us to deal with this kind of disagreement. We must keep God in the center. Let us move on to our next question.
But
lest they think I'm preaching.
We're going to go on, but they said something that Nelly kind of made it more clear, and it is the makeup sex. A lot of people tend to.
Oh, you're doing something.
Stop it. A lot of people tend to talk about how it is the best and all that, but you realize that this is unhealthy. So leave me alone. Let me talk, sir.
How you know about them something? Where I get information from? Go ahead.
Don't talk.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, sister.
Move on. I think them get the point.
Oh, so please don't try to to specialize in what? Makeup, what you call it? Makeup sort out. Let us try to heal. Let's do the thing right now, man. Listen, there's nothing better than when there's true happiness. Yeah? There's true peace. There's true joy. Stop trying to force the thing, man. Work on the thing and then go, enjoy the other thing. Yeah? But stop trying to cover up your true feelings. But enjoy a moment, but deep down you haven't dealt with the issue. You know what these amount to? Later on, more problem, because why? One thing was not resolved.
Right.
So we have
here. You see, you didn't do this last week. And start to fester.
Oh Lord. Oi. Lady teacher, Lady D, now go talk up in Europe in Jesus' name, you know. Come in, know where she know. Oh Lord. So let me go on to my next question. All right. I just want to ask you, how do you successfully balance work life? How that work for you?
How do we successfully balance work and marriage and ministry and everything else? I'd say it's a work in progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, not that I have attained it, as Paul would say, but I mean, it's something that sometimes you don't realize that you've drifted apart until, I mean, the Lord just kind of brings your awareness to it. So, I mean, I guess we can share that for us. So we just celebrated our 12th year anniversary a few weeks ago. And during that week, we kind of had to recommit to each other, to put each other first, to prioritize what each other needs. Because for the few months before that, we kind of lost sight of our priority. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes we can get so caught up, especially in ministry, because in ministry, and if you're passionate about ministry like we are, you feel like, you get so much energy and life from it that sometimes you focus so much on ministering externally that you forget to minister to each other.
Yeah.
And you will miss opportunities to grow in intimacy and love for each other because you don't take the chances to nurture your marriage. And so, we used to hear, always keep your date nights. And then there are weeks, months, like date night. Oh, no, man, we'll do that next week. We have these things to do now. We have this presentation. We have this thing to do. We're okay. And you skip steps thinking that, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, you're going to still be okay, but you're not investing in actually being okay.
Right.
And I mean, especially when you have kids, you start to focus so much on their needs and you forget about each other. Mm-hmm. And so
we got a taste of that life. Yeah. Because we are foster parents, and for 4 months we had a little one with us. So we had him from he was 3 months old till he was about to turn 7 months old. And that was kind of like a whole whirlwind, because it was immediate. Literally, he was in our arms 2 hours after we got the call. There was no extended period. There was no 9 months preparation. None of that. It was just like, hey, we have a child. Can you take care of him? Okay, we'll call you back. 2 hours later, can you come for him now? We're like, okay. And so we were kind of thrusted into parenthood in that way. It's something that we've longed for, something that we wanted, but we didn't know we didn't know what we didn't know. So when we came into parenthood in that way, it impacted our intimacy, our closeness, because now it was all about this little human, this little life who we now had a responsibility for, and we wanted to do everything for him in the best way possible. And everything else for us just kind of took a back seat, and it became an issue that we had to deal with head on. We had to, once we identified it, we had to take the steps. So with our anniversary, it was again an intentional move to say, all right, this is the year that we've had, this is what we've gone through together this year, but this is how we want to move forward. And we took the time we spent a whole week, just the two of us, just pouring into our marriage and pouring into each other and getting reconnected in a real and deep way. So as we are now, we're back to checking on each other frequently throughout the day to say, how is your day going? How are you managing? Is there something I can do to help you? That same thing we spoke about earlier about marriage being that willingness to serve. You are constantly in the service of the other person. As much as sometimes you don't feel the vibes, as much as sometimes you're like, oh, you're a whole adult, can't you do this for yourself? You might feel that way, and that's just the truth. I don't always feel like being the one to share him food. I don't always feel like rubbing his feet. I don't always feel like, you know what I mean? But you do those things because it is because it is in service to my husband.
So I'll just say my love language is acts of service. That's my primary love language.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. So the minute it becomes selfish for me, like I start thinking about how much I have to do and how tired I am feeling. And once I start to feel and think that way, then it becomes even more stressful for me. It starts to wear me down. But when I'm thinking about it from the perspective of my husband needs this, let me serve him, I'm good.
But so let me just add to that as well. So I believe the Lord gives us discernment as to what each other's needs are, and it's up to us to be obedient to meet those needs. So there are times when the Lord may say, go and do this for your spouse. Mm-hmm. It may not seem to you like they need it, but the Lord knows that that's what they need to get through that moment.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the Lord will say to me, just go and rub your wife's feet or spend some time with her or pray for her or serve her in some way. And a lot of times she'll be like, thank you so much. I needed this. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I'm like, if you need it, why not just ask for it? Mm-hmm. But sometimes we don't know what we need. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'll just say also on the topic of dealing with the stress of work, we all deal with and process stress differently. And it's important for us to understand what those triggers for stress are and help each other through it. Because a lot of times, some of those arguments we spoke about earlier is a result of stress from work.
Yeah.
So we bring home that stress from work, we bring home that stress from maybe our family, and we kind of just project it onto our spouse. We are nice to everybody else, and that harshness is saved for our spouse.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
Yeah.
So it's important to just kind of manage that, talk about it, know what your triggers are, mm-hmm. so that when it comes to you being stressful, when Renee is stressed, I can say, okay, I understand that for the next few days, I'm not going to take anything personally, because when she's stressed, she's less patient, and that's the truth. So if she's stressed, I know that she's going to look at me a certain way. I know that her responses are going to be short. Yes, Jermaine. And I'm just going to have to understand that it's not about me.
Yeah.
So if I take it personally, then I'm going to respond a certain way, and then it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
When all I have to do is pick it up and say, okay, my wife is stressed. How can I help her?
Right. And he actually he does a very good job of that. So he will just say, he knows that I love being outside, I love being outdoors. So he's like, all right, come, let's go for a drive. Let's just go let's go drive out to Palisados. Let's go do something. And that helps me to de-stress. Let's go to the beach. Like, beach is the best for me. Or he'll just allow me some time to color or to journal or whatever it is that I need to do. Allow me some creative time. And because he knows that those things replenish me and help me to deal with the stress. Likewise for him, I know when he's stressed, he's going to need a lot of shoulder rubs and neck rubs.
Tension, like crazy.
I'm like, all right, so just know that when he asks for it, even when he doesn't ask for it, allow yourself to be in that mode of service, of physical service, not just praying for him now, but physically serving him in this specific way.
There are times when you'll pray for your spouse and the Lord says, do something, do it. You can't pray away something that you're supposed to do.
Because
right?
the obedience is your responsibility now. When the Lord says, go and do, you go and be the one to rub your husband's shoulder. Him never say, send him to the spa. him never say, go make him lie down. No, he said, you,
exactly.
My daughter, I'm telling you to go and rub your husband's shoulder. Because the Lord is very efficient, it's something him doing in you and something him doing for your husband as well. Yeah. So just do what you're supposed to do. Circle the mountain one time and done. Right? So, yeah. I forgot the question we were answering. So there was a question about...
the question is, how do we balance?
How we balance, right. So It was on the screen a while ago, how we balance with everything being online. Yeah, there we go. Balance family time and the amount of time we spend online. Honestly, we set a date night and we try, like we literally put it in our phones now, and
a reminder comes up.
The reminder comes up, the time comes, and we know that time is no phone time. It's us being disconnected. It's just us during that time. Anybody need to reach us can reach us after. If there's an emergency, you can call us and we'll get the call. But we're not doing the social media thing. Yeah. We're not doing the WhatsApp thing. So it's just scheduled time. We know that Sundays are our family or family day. So we spend time together on that day, like intentional time on that day as well. So how we do it is really just scheduling the time and understanding that. And we also share schedules. So if we are engaged for different things, because we have different areas of we have different speaking areas, so persons may engage us for one reason or another, and we have different ministries that we serve in, etc. So we may have things that are in our calendar. We ensure that we share those things. So I'm not planning to do something on a night when he's booked and vice versa. So we keep that communication open. So when I'm free, I know when you're free, and then we make plans for that free time to really be quality time.
Yeah.
By not being online during those hours.
Yeah.
You're adding something?
No, I was just gonna say, take that alone time seriously. Don't split your attention when you're around your spouse, right? So if phone is a distraction, if social media is a distraction, if the TV is a distraction, it's best to remove it, because it shows, right? It shows when your time is shared. You'll miss certain things, you'll misinterpret certain things, and so it's better to give undivided attention. So yeah.
Indeed.
Listen, if you're listening to us this evening, listen, you can't rebuke the devil every time. Rebuking is good. Get on my feet, Satan, but you better go get some action, yeah? 90% of the deliverance that we actually need require action. If you look at God's word, right, there is less about war than there is about what you need to do. There is less about war than there is what we need to do. want to say to us, if we're gonna get this marriage up and running, I saw Lady Janita there saying be intentional with our moments. You know, and you know, it's never too late to start correcting some things.
Amen.
As I am sitting down and I'm listening, take time with the amen of that.
Me the speakerphone.
Oh yeah, going so loud with the amen. Jesus. Oh God. I must say this year record from Zoom and record.
Well, we can look back and say, well, this was where it started.
Have to take time. But in fact, there are some times when we don't always get it 100%, you know. But that doesn't say we shouldn't work for 100%. Let me just take time to understand me. I work towards my 100. Yeah, I am not going to settle for a substandard kind of living. No, excellence is not on break. All right, so only me I go work hard. I know. You better learn for work hard, you know. All right, there we go. So thank you very much for those solid and wonderful tips. But we can't go away. We cannot go before we switch to talk a little bit about money. All right.
Before you get to the money, because I know they have good tips on money, but there's something. I went on their page on Instagram and I saw this. Yes, sir. But look, you know, I saw a post that she did mention, Lady Mack mentioned that they adopted a little one. And it says apparently somebody decided they were going to do IVF and it was frowned upon and all kind of things. And a lot of times, as soon as persons get married, the thing is, oh, when are you going to start having kids? Especially if you put on a little weight, you know, the first thing, oh, she's pregnant, and you don't know what persons are going through. It could have been, you know, some hormonal issues. It could be like, you know, a miscarriage. It could be so many things that persons are going through. Now, you went through the process of foster care, and that was something that you know that you'd have gone into it, and it is the possibility that this child is not going to be there for a long time. You know, how is it, you know, having to go through that? And what would you say to somebody who might be on the platform or watch it later on, who might be going through a rough, you know, hearing all this, you know, questions about kids, you know, you have your own desire of wanting to have the kids, but the challenges are present. What would you say to encourage them?
Oh man, that's a big one, you know. Like we have so much to share on that, and we do talk about it on our channel, Loving to the Max, right? But so we opted to foster. Going into that, a little background. We have actively been trying to get pregnant, to conceive for over 9 years, right? As at right now, we're not aware of being pregnant. So we are still believing, and we're still trying for it.
But we're still practicing.
We're still believing and we're still trying actively for it, right? But what the Lord brought to us just this year, January of this year, as we were seeking him for what it is that he wants us to focus on and what he wants us to pursue this year, he said to us, you can adopt. And it kind of took us by surprise, because we always thought about adoption. We always said we want to adopt. Like a lot of persons we hear saying, you know, they want to adopt, but you know, you kind of think about it later in life after a certain stage and all of that. However, the Lord said it to us for this year. And we said, okay, how do you want us to go about this? And we started the process, and we just continued seeking the Lord throughout it, right? And how he led us was foster care. At this point, we had come to a place where we're like, Lord, however and whenever you want, what it is what you say and not what we are feeling.
Yeah.
It was last year in about the third quarter of last year that I had a complete breakdown, complete brokenness before the Lord. And I said, Lord, I can't do this anymore. I'm at the end of myself. I don't know how to feel about this whole child situation, wanting to have a child and just feeling like I'm not seeing it I'm not seeing it, you know. And coming out of that, for me, it was, which was like a whole 2-hour session of just pure salsa balling before the Lord. And I literally cried myself to sleep. And coming out of that, for me, it was saying, whatever your will is, Lord, let your will be done. Have your way. True living sacrifice. I can't hold on to nothing for myself anymore because I can't do this. You are the one doing it only the way that you can do it, right? And Jermaine was in complete support. So when the Lord brought us down the foster care route this year, we said, all right, we're doing this. We were fully engaged because we believe that he's the one that is guiding the process, right? And when you go into something with that frame of mind, knowing that it is about what the Lord is doing, and you understand the character of God, and you understand that when God is doing something, it's more than about just you. There's a bigger picture, there's a bigger purpose, there's a bigger plan. And it may just be a seed that he wants you to plant or a seed that he wants you to water. Whatever it is, you learn to be content in that season. So we took on this challenge of foster care, and we share the story on our social media page. We share it because we want more Christians to get into foster care and adoption. We want more people to understand what it is when the Lord is calling you to this, because you're saving lives, literally saving lives. We have over 5,000 children in state care right now who need loving families, they need loving homes. And we have 1 in 8 couples struggling to conceive. 1 in 8 couples have infertility issues, and it's not something that is often spoken about. And it's worse so in church circles. We don't talk about it. And when you do talk about it, you say, oh, let me lay hands on you and pray. And the Lord will grant you a child. But it's not always so. Sometimes the Lord wants you to go and adopt the child. Sometimes your child born already. So we said, okay, Lord, we are going. And when we got that call, we were excited and nervous at the same time. But those 4 months with that little boy
changed our lives.
Oh my goodness. They were such an amazing blessing to us. And when we look back at him and we say, boy, we asked the caseworker, what would have happened to him if we couldn't have taken him? And they said, oh, he would have gone into state care. I said, what? This precious little child? No, we can't imagine him being in that
if
state.
he spent 4 months in state care instead of with us. He would have been completely different for him right now. So
exactly.
I mean, I want us to touch on what the original question was. What do you say to persons who, just got married, don't have kids? That pressure is a real thing, and it happens a lot, especially in church. If you're single, when are you going to get married? If you're married, when are you going to have kids?
Yeah.
It's like a countdown, and we encourage persons to not put that pressure, especially on young couples. Well, on any couple.
On anybody.
It's important for you to respect. We say it as a form of making conversation. A lot of times we don't think about it. We could say it and it's causing pain and hurt to the persons who receive it. So you say, imagine for 9 years, person saying to us, so when you're going to have kids? Not knowing the hurt and the pain and the trauma we're going through. You're asking us that question when we probably just spent the last 2 or 3 days in pain and agony over the fact that, we saw her period. So, I mean, those are things that you don't want to say because you don't know what the person is going through. You're adding to the pain and hurt that they're feeling.
And also don't assume that God's plan is the same for everybody. Don't assume that. You don't know if God has predestined for
them
this
to
person
foster or adopt.
Exactly. You don't know, and it can be so hurtful and it can come across very insensitive. to persons, because for the persons who are struggling, every single month is a reminder that you have not yet seen this promise in the flesh. Every single month.
Yeah.
So unless it is that someone has disclosed to you that this is their intention and this is the direction that they want to go, then you can have the conversation, but otherwise don't do it.
And I'll just say, for those who are single, it is one of the hardest things for a single person to feel like they are not like. So when somebody is single and you're asking them when they're going to get married, especially if they're not dating, I think that's also one of the most insensitive things that you can do, because you don't know what that person has been going through in processing their singleness with the Lord and feeling like maybe there's something wrong with them, that they didn't do that maybe they've missed opportunities, maybe they're not ready, and all the lies that the enemy may try to feed to us. Don't ask them when they're getting married. Mm-hmm. It's not something that helps them at all. So for those who are single, for those without children, even for those without a job, when you're going to get a job, like you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
So just please, just
try and be kind.
Yeah.
Be kind. Yeah.
Oh, listen. I mean, we're coming down nicely. We promise you 2 hours of program, but boy, there's just so much that is coming out of this that if we go for another few minutes, just to hear, I think when you have the Macks in, you want to make sure that you get enough. It's like ringing.
You want to go to the Macks.
Yeah, ring. Yeah. You want to go to the Macks where this is concerned, because this is good and it's necessary. And of course, I believe that our job here. While we don't take anything that we do here as counseling really, but we sharing their story, their own experience, sharing these solid tips and nuggets that you can look at and actively decide which you can adopt or what you can improve and all of that. That's what this program is all about. All right, I want to talk about money, because I know that this is, one of their area. I don't know. Maybe guys, you want them to come
part 2.
You want them to come back to part 2. you want them to come back to season 2 and talk about money, because I think they have so much to talk about with money that listen, let's prepare to have them back. I'm not gonna touch that topic. I just know that there's so much to share with us on money, and I'm not going to rush the process. So if you want to know more, you have to stay tuned to this program.
Make sure you're subscribed.
Make sure that you have actually subscribed to this program and you're following with us, because that's what we do. We hope to bring that kind of support to persons. The truth is, my motivation came. Like I said, I was a minister. I struggled with marriage. I know persons don't want to be honest because we're so sanctimonious. I struggled really hard, badly. I am really embarrassed at some of the things I did and some of the things I thought about when I was there. I struggled with that too. But I'm encouraging you here on here. I'm using my life. I'm using what I've been through to say, listen. If you know there's a detour sign down the road and somebody put a sign there, you don't have to go down there, go check for yourself. Just don't go down there. And that's what we're trying to provide. Listen, I have had to, and thank God for, I didn't have a platform like this available to me, but I had a father-in-law, one who I speak highly of. Listen, if the roles were reversed and I was father-in-law and he was son, I'd have kicked him out long. I would run him away long time for leave my daughter. But that man impacted my life so much. And that's why I believe so much in this whole thing about testimony and just sharing your experience. I remember, one time I said, after about 2 years, I was like, man, can I really, really please my wife? Can I really make her happy? And I was serious about that. I was just, I don't know if I wasn't listening, I wasn't observing, but I was at my maximum frustration. Like, okay. And I don't think my wife was asking for anything extra to real. It wasn't anything much that she was asking for. I was just not listening. And you know, he shared with me and he said, listen, I've been married now for what, 36 years at that time? 36 years. And listen, I just learned something new about my wife this morning. He was about to let me know that marriage is always about lessons and that we're actually going to keep on learning. We're going to book the Macks, the Macks again so that they can come and talk to us on money. You know, more about money and more about relationship. All right. But let me just also let you know that they do have a YouTube channel. YouTube channel is actually called Loving to the Max. I encourage you to go on over there and subscribe to them as much as you subscribe here. So let's help each other to grow. Yep, go on over there and subscribe.
They have some really good
Loving to the Max. And yeah, man, they have good content over there. So go on over there and check out them content there. All right, don't forget to go ahead, just hit the subscribe here. If this still read it, meaning not paying no dues. And this is the only seed we ask. Why not? This is the only seed offering.
Free, not
it's
a dime.
Free, not a dime. So a free seed. So a free seed, definitely. So a free seed and help us grow. It's good to see Lady Chevanet James Henry saying hi to the Macks. Of course, good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us. Before I go, though, this program this evening is sponsored by Robdons. And so I want to give away 2 books this evening. Two books to the persons who answer first. Blessings to you, Lady Yashika Campbell. Girl, we need to talk. Yep, let me call you out now. We need to talk. We need to talk. All right. So I'm gonna have 2 questions for you, and that I want for you to quickly respond. The person who respond to them, then of course we're going to send the book directly to you. But before that, let us take a quick commercial break on the dot. Yeah, quick commercial break.
In the words of the late Dr. Miles Monroe, the Bible is not for information. Application of the Constitution produces transformation. Your transformation then creates a positive vibration that synchronizes your spiritual GPS with kingdom navigation. Blessings and peace, everyone. Introducing to you this book authored by my brother and friend, Ambassador Nicholas Robdon Robertson, Positive Vibration, Navigating Through Difficult Times. Between the covers of this book, you will find effective tools and powerful weapons that will help you to live victoriously in spite of struggles and challenges. This is a must-read.
Awesome. So I'm going to have my guests think of the question that they want to ask. And of course, they are going to tell us the question. But before they do, I'm going to give 1 question from us. And of course, they'll think of the question they wanted to ask. And then, of course, we will go ahead and give that right away. All right. So my question is, the first person who is able to write the full name, first and last name of both the Macks will get the first book. Let's see who will do that. All right, so we're looking for that in the chat, right? It's also so easy. All right, Lady Sonia, I think we're friends on Facebook, so I'm definitely going to connect with you to find where we must send the book to, all right, to get your actual address. Or you could just find me, Nicholas Robdon Roberts, and just go ahead and just send me that address that where you want me to send the book for it to be dropped off. And of course, I'll have it done for you this week. Oh no, Sophia, just,
missed it.
Missed it. World Champs is coming up, Lady Sophia. World Champs is coming up. You got to be ahead. It's not enough to just finish the race. You have to finish ahead.
They need to make sure that the live is not delayed, because sometimes you're back a few seconds.
Yeah.
So make sure you're up.
Yeah,
so as soon as the question is asked, you're able to answer first.
Excellent. I've placed the link as well for
their
Loving
channel.
To the Max.
Yeah.
Please go ahead and support their work over there. All right. Awesome. Excellent. So congratulations to Lady Sonia Stewart Excellent. I am going to make sure that we send this book right and out to you. All right. Let me now transcend to my my guests and have them ask the next question.
So the question that we'll ask, we'll make it easy. How long have we been together?
All right, so looks like we have a winner. Is Jody Roach Williams.
Big yourself, Jody.
Big yourself up, Jody Roach Williams from all the way over in Canada. Jody, I think I have your address already, but send me again. All right, congratulations to our winners this week. Thank you so much for sharing in this program with us. We pray and wish that as you continue to grow, whether you are married or you're looking forward to get married, we want to encourage you to keep on going, keep on pressing, keep on working on that lovely marriage of yours. Don't you dare give up on your marriage, all right? Keep pressing. Good things can come out of something that has, something that begun bad. There's hope in your relationship. If anything, I can sum it up this day. That's exactly what I want to say. There is hope in that relationship of yours. All right. So with that said, we have come to that very important point. We like to end our relationship, our pillow talk this way. All right. So now is the time I encourage all of you, those of you who are married, now is the time to go minister to the husband, minister to the wife. Hold hand. And that also means to hold on and hold hands. This is symbolic of holding hand together. For those of you who are not married, I'm not going to tell you to hold hand, an imaginary hand, but I'm going to tell you to pray and ask God for grace. All right. Remember, marriage is not promotion from singledom or singleness. It's not promotion. It's just the other side of the coin. So go and perfect this spot. Find grace where you are and watch God improve and help you. God bless you. Over to you, Lady and Sir Macks. Prayer time. Oh, the prayer is. Yeah, our guests always pray. All right.
No problem.
All right. Okay, so we just wanted to say, thank you guys so much for having us. It was definitely a pleasure. And we'll just pray. All right. Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity to fellowship, to share a little bit of our story, to share just how much you have saved us and just the hope that exists in you for marriages and just for our lives in general. Lord, we submit ourselves all to your perfect plan and will for our lives. We know, Lord, that even before we were born, you had a plan and purpose for us. And so now, Lord, I pray for everyone who is listening that they will just align with your perfect will and purpose for their lives, Lord. We pray in the name of Jesus that for every marriage, it will be perfectly submitted and aligned to your will. And even for those who are contemplating marriage and for those who are single, I pray that they will conform to your perfect will, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
So we pray a blessing on every marriage. For every marriage that is struggling, that it's difficult, I pray that they will see that there is hope in you, and that, as your word says, they will just always hope and always believe that it can be turned around with you and with them both being fixed on you. Yes. Lord, we pray a blessing on every marriage, that it will be a light in this world, that it will be an example to everyone who wants to see what the relationship between Christ and the church is, that they will look to marriages and see that example, Lord. We also pray for Christians all across the world who are waiting. Lord, we're all waiting for something. And I pray, Lord, that as we wait, we will be strengthened. As we wait, we will be expectant. As we wait, we will wait well and not forfeit the promise that we're waiting for. And so, Lord, I pray, whether it be a couple waiting for a child, a couple waiting for a financial breakthrough, somebody waiting for a job, somebody waiting for a spouse, regardless of the wait,
Yes,
I pray, Lord, in the name of Jesus, for an outpouring of your grace,
yes,
for an outpouring of your spirit upon them, and that, Lord, they will just be overflowing with joy, knowing that anything that we pray for, we can be confident it will be done once it aligns with your will.
yes.
And so, Lord, we just pray a blessing on the Robdons and their ministry. We pray that you will amplify their ministry, that it will reach the corners of this earth, that everyone who you have predestined for them to reach will be alerted to this powerful ministry. And I pray that for everything that they have sown of their time, of their resources, of their marriage, that their harvest will be abundant, Lord, that their harvest will be rich, that their baskets will overflow in the name of Jesus, and that their children's children's children will benefit from just the work that they are doing now. And we pray, Lord, that you will just amplify. We pray even now that the algorithms of social media will align with your purpose for the amplification of this ministry.
Yes, God.
And we pray, Lord, that for everyone, first and foremost, that they will be holy, that they will seek after your face, and Lord, they will seek your kingdom first. Know that every other thing will be added unto them. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. You know what I feel kind this evening, you know. So if you're there at Jamaica and you have a digital phone, run out with your digital phone in your hand. There's a number in the link. The first person to get it, you know, this one is not me calling the name. The first person who get it, there you go. That's a digital credit for you. And if you have a flow, because we are support flow too. There you go. That's from flow. So yeah, man. So just go ahead and first person to top those up, you will have for yourself credits. Jamaica, no see, we are promoting Jamaica as well. All right, we're still promoting our UK family, US family, Canadian family, and whoever else. Yeah, please remember to subscribe to our channel. I check a while ago. I tell you, I like to, you know, imitate Jesus, and him to check the offering plate, and sister the lady they give a little bit. So. You know, me check.
Give little, but she give enough.
And me realize that some people still not subscribe. Let me ask you again to remember to subscribe to our channel. All right, subscribe. I mean, I don't know if the Macks them check theirs yet, but they should be checking, you know. Just making sure that the seeds are being sown. and they are being sown in the right ground, the right field. Oh Lord. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste the link again. So those of you who are on YouTube or on Facebook, you can go ahead and subscribe. All right, great, excellent. Yes, Lady Andrea said, got it.
Again. Oh gosh, I never get so
She's quick on the fingers. But which one did you get? We sent two.
Mr. Andrea always getting the credit.
Which one did you get? Who's the other person? Who's the other person who have gotten the other one? All right, remember there's two. Which one did you get, Lady Andrea? Is it Digicel or is it Flow? Oh, she got the Digi. All right.
Oh, and Sonia got the Flow.
And you're evening this. Listen, I hope that just as though those two things fall favor for you. May this be the year and the, oh Lord, let me not say it. The year when all good things shall come to you, Lady Sonia. All right, blessings and blessings. As we get ready to conclude this program, let me remind you, it was Dr. Miles Monroe who says, it is not love that keeps a relationship. Really, it's not, but it is knowledge. It is how much I know about the individual, how much I know in order to please the person, how much I know about what God expects. So as you continue to fuel your relationship, as you continue to fertilize your relationship, please endeavor to learn, come into awareness, learn all you can. Remember, God is best for you and your partner. That said, ladies and gentlemen, please join us again next week when we'll be talking again about relationship. All right, we'll be talking about relationship next week, Sunday, 4 p.m. Jamaica time. I believe that is also going to be 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 9 p.m. right here in the UK. That said, we want to thank the Macks for coming.
Loving to the Macks. And remember to go to their channel, guys, and remember to also subscribe to the Robdons.
Excellent. And thank you to all who came by this evening. God bless you and have for yourself a productive day. Also remember the next we have Women of Excellence on the need to join on that platform.
Yes, please.
Right? That said, have yourself a great rest of the evening. Take care.
I begin to